The problem is the housing market is really bad right now, right? In the next 10 years, the market is completely overwhelmed. If you buy a house or an apartment in a big city right now, you're losing so much money because they're totally overpriced. But also, I don't want to wait 10 years. And also, if you pay rent, that sucks, right? Do you want to pay rent, or do you want to pay money to the bank where after 30 years it belongs to you, right? Paying rent is very dumb if you have the right financial means behind you. That's why, to me, it's important to get property quickly, man. You know, like next year at least. Housing market is in most countries completely fucked. It is, yeah. And what I read a lot about this. In the next 10 years, the housing market will still be fucked. But it's gonna be very, very interesting, dude. I think this is really interesting because there will be rebellion one day. The young people now, the Generation Z, the Zoomers, you guys, right? Everyone 30 and below. This generation can't afford shit anymore. We reached a level where in European countries like Germany or America, an academic family, aka the wife, has an academic job and degree, and the man has an academic job. They both still don't have enough money to get a good loan from the bank to get a house. You need at least 100K of your own money to at least have a single chance of a loan from the bank to buy a house in a big city, which is mostly 500 to 600K. That is just the world right now. And what happens is you slowly have this thing where the young generation, you guys, realize that it's all rigged, it's all broken, and people are getting tired of this. And we're going to reach this point in the next 60 years where at some point you have all these, like right now we have a building boom. You all heard it. Cement is being used, China, India. We're having a big building boom because the human race is going up to 10 billion. But someday it will go down again, aka we have all these apartments everywhere in the world, but nobody wants to go in them anymore. And a lot of young people, which show more global warming and sustainability, they don't want the big house. They don't want 200 square meters on average, most of them. They realize this is bad for the environment. And in the next 60 years, we're going to have this point where the housing market will completely crash because the demand is just gone. Nobody wants these expensive houses anymore at some point. And especially, and I like that about the young generation, the young generation is far less capitalistic and materialistic. They're far more sustainable. And at some point, capitalism will be like, wait, why are all these young people not buying all our shit, man? The housing bubble will burst soon. The next 10 years, it should go down. Like, I'm waiting for a big crash right now, and then I'm going to invest heavily. I'm actually very close again to the point where my stock market is in green numbers, which never happens. So yeah, it sucks buying a property right now because you actually get fucked over it. I sometimes tell Lisa, hey Lisa, if we buy it in like a village, we're gonna save so much money. My brother got a beautiful house, a huge house for 150K, which is so cheap. And there was a lot of work to be done. Let's not lie here. He had to really work on that house a lot. But he 150K for a house, a big house, and only because he took it in a village where nobody wants to live. It's a village that's like 30 minutes away from the city. And here in Leipzig, a huge city, 600K, 700K for a bitch ass house, man. Oh yeah, and I just wrote this article. I didn't wrote it, I read it, where I read this article from a stock guy. He knows a lot about stocks and investments and blah blah blah. And he said, which I agree with, that right now is a very bad time to invest. The markets are the highest ever, right? If you look at the market, it's the highest ever right now, which makes no sense. Corona happened, so many people lost their jobs. Why is the market so big? And this guy, and I agree with him, I'm not an expert, he said young people shouldn't invest right now because, you know, it's too high, but soon a crash will happen. It always happens, right? 2008 housing crash, dot-com bubble, Corona, crashes always happen, right? And what he said, it was like an article towards young people in their 20s, late 20s, early 30s, people that start working, making money, and they're like, where should I invest, right? It's that soon a crash will happen, which makes total sense. Everything is way too high right now. And when that crash happens, it will take 10 years again for the market to recover, which is normal. Even Warren Buffett talks about this in a recent interview. And then you invest. That's like what I'm thinking right now. I'm not buying anything right now. I'm waiting for the crash. Everything dies, and then I buy a lot of shit, because then you bought low and you see it growing. I was just listening to the podcast with Warren Buffett. If you would have gotten if you would have invested, and he wants to explain something here. if you will invest in the S&P 500, S&P 500 is an ETF that shows the top 500 companies in the USA. In a weird way, let me explain it to people that don't understand it. The S&P 500 is the most basic thing on planet Earth showing the economy. If it goes down, everything goes down. If it goes up, everything goes up. It's kind of like showing the economy of the world. And if you look at the S&P 500, this ETF, this index, over the last 60 years, you see it always grows. Even if there's crises, wars, crashes, corona, it always recovers and makes money in the end. And Warren Buffett said, if you would have put $10,000 into the S&P 500 ETF in 1942 when the war started, you will have 51 million by now. And the point he wants to make is it's important to stay in the market long. I watch a lot of stock market YouTubers and shit, and they all say that it's really important in the stock market to not be an emotional fuck. Like all these Bitcoin idiots on Twitter. Oh, but to the moon, to the moon. Investing is about patience. It's about investing and then not looking at it for 10 years. And I think soon a time will come where young people could make a lot of money. When the crash comes, like again, everything is too fucking heavy, man. S&P 500. Like this is not healthy. Look at this. Corona happened. Look, Corona happens. Entire world economy is fucked. And very, very quickly, just a few months after Corona, we're going to the biggest high ever in a huge growth. Look, normally it grows slowly. That's an economy. And there's a crash, your housing market crash, the dot-com bubble. You have these crashes. And that, look, every idiot understands, right? This makes no sense. What are we doing here? What is happening? So much shit happened to this planet. And here's my prediction. I'm not an expert. You see two crashes here, right? The dot-com bubble and the housing market crash. And you see how it very slowly recovers? Slowly. And what you need to do is, what I read everywhere, is when this happens, when the crash comes, when you're down here or here, that's when young people have the opportunity to buy. You need to be young, because if you're already 70, you're not going to make a lot of money here in the next year. You're going to die in the next 10 years. You're not going to reap the benefits. And what I'm doing right now is, who even asked, right? I'm just telling you guys this. Look at this. We're gonna have a crash. It's gonna happen. And it's about patience. It might not happen for another 5 years. Who knows? It might happen in 6 years. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I just know it will drip again. This is way, way too high. This all-time high year. And when it happens, I'm gonna heavily invest. We can even check, maybe for example, the DAX. Completely overrated. Again, here, same. The dot-com crash, housing market crash, and you have some little crashes, but still. And once again, you see, whenever there was a crash, it goes down slowly, it goes up slowly. Look, this is 10 years. 1998, 2008. It took 10 years for the market to come back. And now you look at Corona. It took, what, 2 months to come back? That can't be normal. And shit is gonna go down, man. Shit is gonna go down, I believe. And when that happens, man, that's when you fucking invest. And you don't buy your shitty Dogecoin and your dumb ass Bitcoin that needs no knowledge at all and it's just a dumb hype beast, man. You use your fucking head with this shit.